Right now on my bedside table you'd find all kinds of little things. And at nighttime it gets even worse with my cell phone and my watch, my glasses. Wouldn't it be great if I had a box that I could put all that stuff into? Well, now I do, and I'd like to show you how I made it. I've really always wanted to have a valet box or a gentleman's valet box to put on my side table beside my bed. A place to put things like my headphones, my glasses, my watch maybe at nighttime, or my cell phone. Because I have kids and they're in and out of the bed all the time, knocking things off the side table. So it would be nice if I had a little place to put things where they were all safe. I was really inspired by the Paradise box, the free, one of Vectric's free monthly downloads. It's quite an older one, but it still has lots of life left into it, especially if you want to take it and use it as inspiration for your own plan. And that's exactly what I did. That plan is too big for my CNC. My CNC has a working envelope of about 7 inches square, roughly, so that was really too big for that. So what I did was I took that free project as inspiration, did a quick sketch, took that sketch and interpreted it into a VCarve desktop, and then went ahead and cut it and put it together. And I think the end result is pretty nice, and I'll show you that at the very end. But I did have a few rules that I needed to follow when I was doing this project. One was that I had the envelope problem of my machine, the actual table size. I had limited materials to use in my shop. I had some pieces of maple that were kind of small, but good for what I do. But I wanted to utilize those, so I had to make my plan fit those. And then also I really wanted to keep it down to 3, maybe 4 cutters at the most. In the end, I did only use 3, which was really quite nice. Made it easy to swap things in and out, cutters in and out, and the result was fantastic. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to walk you through what I did in the software to get all of the project files developed, all the tooling done, and then we'll move down to the shop and I'll show you how that was finished, or how it was cut and then finished. And then I'll come back and explain to you some of the things that didn't quite go as planned, and what I would do next time around if I was going to make it again, which I think I will. Anyway, let's hop into the software. Before I started working on my design, I thought it would be best to have a look at the Paradise box files to see if I could get or could borrow any of the components from it, or any of the vectors and so on. Once I had a look at it, I decided that really wasn't going to be useful for me, even to take it and scale it all down, scale down all of these different drawings and try to make it work was going to be a bit difficult. But what I did use was the information that was in the PDF that came along with that, how Michael decided to finish his actual project off and how everything fit together. So that was very handy. From there I went and created an actual blow up of my project, and then used that to build all the rest of the files that I needed to create my box. I did all of my planning in VCarve Desktop. This is the actual blow up file that I made. I started out by building the side based on the material that I had already around in my shop. I knew that the bed of my machine, the biggest piece I could put down on it was about 7 by 7, and I knew this was going to be a rectangular box, so I created a job that was about 7 by 5. I knew again that my material was about a 1/2 inch thick, so I used that as a rough idea, or a rough sort of dimension for my job. Once I had this side sort of planned out, then I went ahead and created all of the other sides I need. The bottom, the vector for the bottom, the vector for the top, what I wanted to do with the front, and then also the back of the box. I didn't know with the back of my box what hinges I was going to use, so I just kind of roughed in a hinge location. And then on the front, I really wasn't quite sure again how I wanted this little finger hole to work, but I knew it had to be there, so I wanted to put it in there just to make sure that I had all of the dimensions right. Mainly this dimension here, because I wanted to sit in this recess so that the finger hole was flush to the face of this, or the inside face of these, we'll call them legs. I didn't put any details in the top of this. I'm going to do that later on when I create the actual file for the top. Now,
Once I had this all done and I was really happy with the layout and I was pretty confident everything was going to fit together right, I created individual files for each part of the box, and I just copied and pasted out these vectors into a new instance of vCarve Desktop and then developed my tooling from there. This is the back of the box. I knew that I wanted to put some kind of text on the inside of the back, so this is actually the inside of the back. I had to machine it this way. That way I could, when I did my V-carving on it, when I assembled the box, it would be on the inside. It's a pretty basic file. There's nothing too complicated about it. There's a profile cut and some V-carving. Let's have a quick look at all the tool paths. And everything worked out really well. You'll see that I used tabs to hold it in place. I thought that I didn't want to have any tabs up top here, just so that it wouldn't, it would be hard to clean up and maybe cut out. The bottom is really uncomplicated. It's just one vector rectangle to the right side with a profile cut, and then it cuts right through. Now I had to do this actually twice, and I'll explain later why I had to do it twice, but you'll notice that there aren't any tabs. I decided that when I cut it the second time, I would leave the tabs off. The double-sided tape was working perfect. That's what I used to affix the material to my table. And so I didn't even need to worry about having those tabs in there. So that's why they're not there. This is the front of the box. This is the little finger hole, or the little, I guess that's what you call it. And what I did was I took my vector that I had originally there, the rectangle, made sure it was the right dimension across, and then I just made it a little bit taller. That way when my tool went in to profile that out, or to pocket that out, excuse me, then I wouldn't have the little fillets, the little radius of my tool there left over, and it just gave me a nice clean cut around the top. The tool paths again were quite basic, nothing too fancy. Just very basically, there you have it. You can see that there's a bit of a finger hole at the top there. Unlike the Paradise box, because I needed two different ends, a left and a right, then I just figured out, I did the left side to start with, and then I went and just copied that and mirrored it on my right hand file. So the tooling's all the same for both ends. What I did here on the back of this is I extended this out just a little bit, so that I ended up not having that filleting of the material here on the inside, and also that alleviated the chance there might be a raised bit of material along the back end. That worked out really well. Let's just have a quick look at the tool paths for it. And again, there are the tabs to hold it in place, and in the future I probably wouldn't use those like I've mentioned before, but that worked out pretty good. This is the most important part of the box, is the top, and so I really wanted it to be kind of unique in its own right. So I decided that I would use two models to machine in the top of the box. One was the rope, and the other is the star compass in the center. The rope model is actually a free model that you get with vCarve Desktop, Pro, or Aspire, and you can find that in your clip art folder under borders. If you don't have these installed, then you can go to your portal account and download them for free and just run the installers, and they'll end up being here next time you start your software. So I used the B version of that. That made a little bit of recess, which looked really good, and then the rope laying inside of that. And then I went ahead and went over to Design and Make, and this is one of the brand new models we've just added, the star compass, and it's quite nice. I was curious to see how the text would machine, so this was a great test for that, and as you'll see in the end, it turned out pretty good. So I went ahead and developed my tooling for this. Now this was actually a bit of a challenge, because the material that I had cut down to machine this, or to cut this in, was just big enough to fit this in. So when I actually look at the profile cut, it actually overcuts the edge of my board, which worked out just perfect. I used the double-sided tape method again, so it worked perfectly in the end. When I went to do the finishing, the roughing and finishing, I did the roughing of both of these in one pass, and then I decided to do the finishing in two steps. I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to use two different size cutters for this, but in the end I used the same 1mm ball nose end mill to cut those with, so it looked pretty good in the end. So let's just go ahead and have a look at those just quickly here. There's the roughing and there's the two finishing passes, so that worked out quite nice.
So here's the finished box. I think it turned out pretty nice. The next time around though, there's a few things that I would change. So before I show you some footage close up of this box, let's go over some of the things I might do different, or I will do different the next time I build one of these, which I'm going to. First of all, I made the assumption that the wood was going to be a pretty uniform thickness all the way through, and well, that wasn't right. I really should have measured each piece after I had actually processed the material down to the smaller chunks that I had. And that would have made the fit up much slicker. The pocket in the sides of the legs, I really should have offsetted that just a little tiny bit. That way, that would have accounted for some of that variation in thickness of material, but it wouldn't have accounted for it all, but it certainly would have helped in the end. Okay, let's talk tabs. Tabs are great. I love tabs. I use them all the time. But if you don't plan where the location is very well, then you're going to run into this problem. That is that when you remove the tabs, then you end up sanding down the part, and the part gets smaller. And that's exactly what happened to the legs on my box, is that I had mistakenly put a tab at the top and one at the bottom, and when I went to sand them off, then I ended up removing a lot of material, and my legs are short. So now my lid is proud of my actual tops of my legs. So I could have done one of two things, or one of three things actually. I could have picked a better location for my tabs. I could have chose that same location and actually made my legs slightly taller, so I accommodated for some of that sanding I was going to do. Or in my case, I'm just not going to use tabs anymore because my fixturing method with the double-sided tape seems to work pretty good. So I think I'm just going to continue on with that and not worry about those tabs. Now the finger hole in the front worked out really well, but I'll show you a picture here that actually on the end of it, one of them actually broke. One of the little tabs, the little raised bits at the end actually broke off. So the next time I would do this, I certainly would make that finger hole a little bit shorter. It might not look as nice, but certainly I wouldn't have a little teeny hole in the end, which you really don't notice unless you're really taking a really close look, but still, it was something that I'd probably change. The hinges. Not the hinges so much, but the screws that came with the hinges. Seriously. They were terrible. They broke, the heads broke off left and right, and to remove those out of the wood was terrible. Maple is a hard wood, Todd. It's a hard wood. You need to make sure those pilot holes are the right size. And so I definitely would choose better my bit when I was making my pilot holes. That was a silly mistake, and it took a lot of time to fix. I used a cork insert on the inside to cover up a mistake. I don't want to get into why the mistake happened, and let's just agree that the cork insert was actually part of my master plan, okay? Before I show you the final pictures of this box, I want to ask you a question. If you're interested in the files for this, let me know in the comments below, and we'll see if we can make that happen. We don't usually do that, but for this particular project, or if there's enough people that want it, then certainly we'll consider the idea and see what we can do about getting those to you. If you like this video and found it interesting, please give it a thumbs up or give it a thumbs down. If you give it a thumbs down, let us know why. We'd really like to know why, so we can make these better for you in the future. Leave a comment if you'd like, and like I said, definitely leave a comment about whether or not you think that you would like to make one on your own. And if you'd like to, we'd really appreciate a share. Anyway, thank you very much. Be safe.